And so sometimes when we don't see that instant thing happening, then we feel like, oh, well, God let me down. When we don't really see the big picture.
We don't know.
Some of our previous episodes too talked about answers to prayer, and some of them being instant and some of them taking a long time.
That's right.
And so anyway.
Well, and Karen, we don't know, because we have friends that are walking through cancer. Your mom had dementia, and my dad had cancer, and we have friends right now that are walking through cancer, and we don't understand it.
No,
we really don't. I walked through a long battle. You've gone through some things that it didn't happen overnight.
No.
Our prayers weren't answered overnight. They were answered.
Still waiting on some.
And we're still waiting on some. That's right.
But faith says that while I'm waiting, God is working.
That's right. Yeah. You know that song, I know we're not like huge fans of all the repetitive choruses all the time, but there's one that says, even when I don't see you're working, you never stop. You never stop working. Yeah. So he is always working behind the scenes, and every day he's aware of us. He's aware of what's going on in our lives. It's hard for us to fathom that, isn't it?
Right.
That he's concerned about each one of us.
Yeah.
Karen, it took a lot of faith for Moses to cross the Red Sea.
It did. You talk about being between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, he had an army behind him and a sea in front of him.
He did.
And God parted that sea, and he didn't know. I mean, I would say he was probably close enough to God that if he saw God parted the sea, he was pretty confident that the Lord was going to take care of him. But I bet you there were a lot of mamas and daddies in that marching army that wondered.
Well, I always thought that the danger was the Pharaoh and his army. But what about the danger of the water coming down over you?
Exactly. Yeah.
I had never thought about that until recently.
Yes. Yeah.
About how much faith it took to just go ahead and go.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's something.
Yeah.
That's bigger than what we think about.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. And then Abraham, when he had to sacrifice Isaac, he
was promised this kid.
He was. And he led him up to that mountain and tied him down on that altar to be sacrificed, because that's what God told him to do.
Yeah.
But God provided a ram in the bushes. But can you imagine? I don't know that I would have that kind of faith.
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder that if we knew what the final end would be of things, if we would get so upset about the here and now, the things that we go through.
Yeah.
Who was it said it's not worthy to be compared to what we're
glory
doing.
That will, yes,
To get to experience.
Yeah, expound on that just a little, Karen, because that's good.
Well, Jesus said, if you're in the world, you're going to have trouble.
Right.
And we don't get a free pass.
Nope, we don't.
So I get to wear skin. And skin is not eternal.
Right.
It's that kingdom inside me that's eternal. So I think of Johnny Erickson Tata.
Yeah. Ron references her quite
in that
often.
Diving accident.
Yes.
When she was a kid and paralyzed from the neck down.
And she's older than we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
in a lot of pain.
And I'm sure people think, well, how come she's not healed? Well, that would be a miracle.
Yes, it would.
And I don't want to lessen that. But it's also a miracle for her to live every day the way she is,
right,
with the attitude she has.
Yeah. Yes, she shares Christ with such.
That's a miracle.
Yeah. with such love and compassion, and
yeah,
she does.
She paints with her
teeth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so
or her mouth, holds a pencil.
But we don't want bad things to happen to us.
No, we don't.
We don't. And believe me, I pray. About I'll ask the Lord, keep us from unnecessary trials.
Yeah.
I only want the ones I have to go through.
Right.
I don't want to have to be going through unnecessary things.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I can say this, that everything to this date that I can think of that I have been through has benefited me in some way.
It changes you. It really does. Yeah. I mean, a lot of times when you walk through sickness, you have more, and when you come out on the other side, you have way more compassion for people that are sick. Yeah. It touches you in a different way. If you have anxiety or something like that, you aren't flippant with it when you see it in someone else because you understand.
Well, you should have enough faith that you shouldn't be anxious about all that.
Right.
Well, some things you can't control.
That's right. But Karen, when you were talking, it reminded me of that scripture, and I think it's in Isaiah that says, when you walk through the fire, you won't be burned. When the waters or when the flood comes, it won't overtake you.
But you're still going to walk through
it. But so he says when.
Yeah.
I've heard someone say, if you're not in a trial now,
wait.
Because you're either coming out of one or going into one. I think it's kind of what they were talking about. I mean, we all have, it rains on the just and the unjust.
Oh, it does.
It does. And so, but how we choose to walk through it matters.
And that's the nice thing about faith and about being a Christian is you don't have to walk alone.
That's right.
Sometimes you feel like you're alone.
You do.
When Jesus was on that cross, he didn't have a peace about it. He felt alone. My God.
Why have you forsaken me? He said,
But what was going on? What was the bigger picture? We can look back on that. I mean, we can see the whole thing because we have it in the scripture. But to have to walk through that is horrible. And it's the same with us. If we could just see the big picture, if we could look back on the story of our life and we could keep that faith and keep walking, then it would be the same.
Yeah.
It would be the same.
Well, what is the scripture that says the trying of our faith?
Yes, more precious than gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we come forth, when you put I don't even know how it all happens, honestly, but to purify gold, you have to put it through some fire.
Okay.
And sometimes, for us, and some of us might need a little more fire than others.
Let me tell you about this mustard seed.
Okay.
Now, these mustard seeds are probably a little different than the ones Jesus was talking about. He was probably talking about black mustard seeds, but it's still the same family.
Right, and they're still little.
Do you know what it takes to really get the mustard seed to release that flavor? It's heat. Or being immersed in something.
Yeah.
If you really want to get the flavor of that seed, then it has to go through something.
Yeah.
Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, it really does.
Same with our faith.
For many of us, yes, for many of us that have walked through, and we all have.
Yeah.
Our fires all look different.
Yes, they do.
And they're all different, but we all walk through them.
Yes.
And
I don't have the grace to go through your trial. I can look at you and what you're going through and think, I don't see how they could do that. But I don't need the grace to go through it because I'm not the one going through it.
Right. And same for me with you. Yes.
So, so that little mustard seed of faith, it's got to be heated up to really show, put it to work.
Yes.
That's how you know That's how you grow in your faith.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how that mustard seed really comes into fruition.
Yeah.
Is the heat.
Right. Well, think about what Job went through. I mean, that's one of our favorites.
Our favorite.
Yeah. I mean, if you have not read the book of Job, you need to read it. I mean, it's short.
Yeah.
But it is, wow. It is such an example for our lives as Christians. And, you know, Job said to God, though you slay me, I'm going to trust you. I've said that, Karen. Though you take my life, I'm going to praise you. I'm going to trust you. Now, it takes faith to say that.
Yeah.
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 And so, anyway, I hope that this has encouraged your faith today.
Yeah.
That's what Karen and I want to do. And so,
we do. We want to encourage you, whatever you're going through.
Yeah.
Keep walking.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yes. Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
And your walk, what you go through is personal to you.
That's right.
And so you don't need to feel bad about if you decide to do some sort of medical procedure or what have you.
Right. Sometimes you have to get a
Jesus
little
said
help.
he that is the sick needs a physician.
Right.
I mean, Jesus said that. So don't feel bad about that.
Right.
Keep your faith.
Yeah.
And I think even some of the doctors nowadays are like, oh yeah, that really helps people.
Yeah.
So
trusting.
Keep learning.
Yeah. Have that hope. All right, guys. This has been Coffee with Janis and Karen. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah.